Before we dive into the specifics, let's talk about the Zelda series, one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic, franchise in all of gaming. The Legend of Zelda has been a part of our gaming culture since 1986, and it has evolved in remarkable ways. I still remember my mom taking me to Target to buy my very first NES game for my 5th birthday, which would have been 1990. Before that, only my brothers were allowed to pick out new games. So this was a really big deal for me, and I didn't even need to look at the other games. I was literally in the car, we were driving there, I already know what I want, right? I wanted the Legend of Zelda gold cartridge. And I was hooked from the first time I ever saw this game. So I've bought every single Zelda game since then. They've all been pre-ordered as long as pre-orders were available. And it really is my favorite series of all time. So these two games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, are the culmination of years of innovation. Breath of the Wild changed everything when it was released in 2017. Its open world design, complete with its sense of freedom and exploration, it redefined the Zelda formula, but at the same time it was like a callback to the original Zelda, and if you know, you know, because if you played that as a kid, that's how it felt. Then in 2023, Tears of the Kingdom built on that foundation, adding more depth, new mechanics, and a gripping storyline. Both of these titles are game changers, not only for Zelda, but for the entire gaming industry. On the Switch too, these games have received an incredible visual upgrade. And the best part, if you're an NSO expansion pack member, these upgrades come at no extra cost. Okay, they're not free, because it costs money to get NSO expansion pack, but they come at no extra cost. So, you can upgrade to the Switch 2 version if you don't have that for only $10, which is an absolute steal for the experience you're getting. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Now, let's talk about gameplay, the heart and soul of any Zelda game. In the Switch 2 edition, the responsiveness is smoother than ever. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have always been known for their fluid controls, but now they feel even snappier. Whether you're climbing up mountains, fighting enemies, or simply exploring the map, everything is quicker, sharper, and more responsive. Remember when we made the jump from the PS4 to the PS5 games, and games became much more fluid with the NVMe SSD? Well, this feels similar. Load times are virtually non-existent now. Everything, and I mean everything, is faster. You press the pause button and it's immediate. You access the map or your inventory and there's no waiting. The way these games load and flow, it's a totally different experience. If you've ever played these games before, the improved performance makes it feel like you're playing them for the very first time, and that's special, man. Let's talk about the visuals now, because this is where the Switch 2 really shines. These games always had a beautiful art style, but on the Switch 2, the visuals have reached an entirely new level. Handheld mode is where you first see the major difference. The screen is bigger than ever before, and the LCD is stunning. I know there were concerns about going from OLED back to LCD, but then there was a group of us, including myself, people like Nintendo Prime and Mike Odyssey, who were like, hey, LCD technology's come a long way. We're gonna be fine, guys. And I gotta tell you, we are fine. The Switch 2's display is absolutely gorgeous. The colors pop, the blacks are rich, the brightness is amazing, the HDR is clearly evident. Compared to the original Switch, it feels like you're looking at a whole new device, and you really are. But the true magic happens when you play docked. I think we were playing on 55-inch TVs at the event, But when I actually get the Switch 2, I'm going to be playing this on my 85-inch TV that's HDMI 2.1. It's a TV for PS5. Or I'm going to play it on my BenQ X3100i 150-inch projector. It's going to be unreal. The games run at 4K 60 FPS, and it's like you're playing a brand new game entirely. The lighting is next level. The HDR effects especially really make the world come alive. The sun shining through the trees in Korok Forest, or the mist in certain areas. It's all just breathtaking. I was just like, this is insane. Water effects are another highlight, from the splashes when you jump in to the reflections when you're swimming. Everything has been given a major visual upgrade. There's something mesmerizing, and I talk about this in a lot of my videos, but watching the water ripple and flow, it really does add to the immersion, and I guess I am just obsessed with water graphics since the N64 era. But the detail, you won't believe it until you see it. I spent a lot of time exploring the Korok Forest, and it looked completely different. The fog, the lighting, the shadows, the reflections, the particle effects, it's all just so much sharper and more detailed and really incredible. Honestly, I feel like this is the way Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom were meant to be experienced. The sound and music in Zelda have always been a huge part of the experience. Of course, we have Koji Kondo, who's been the lead composer for all the Legend of Zelda games, and these two games are no exception. Both have iconic soundtracks that are woven into the very fabric of the game. The moment you hear the peaceful melodies of Hyrule's fields, you know you're in for an unforgettable adventure. And during intense moments, for combat or exploration, the music becomes more dynamic, pulling you even deeper into the game. And on the Switch 2, the music feels just as moving as ever. The clarity of the sound is fantastic. The ambient sounds of the world, the clashing of swords in combat, the gentle melodies while exploring, they all add to the richness of the Zelda experience. If you've played these games before, you'll notice the music feels even more vibrant and immersive, helping to bring Hyrule's world to life in a way that's never been possible before. And I'm not sure how they did it, but my ears are trained very well. I usually play in my surround sound. It sounds excellent. I'm so excited to play these again on Switch 2. And of course, here's the exciting new addition, right? It's the Zelda Notes app. And the app, I think, is going to be a fantastic addition for anyone who wants to dive deeper into the lore of the game, right? You can access the soundtrack, explore details about the characters, and even learn about the history of Hyrule as you play. For fans like me, and I'm sure many of you out there who have been following the series for decades, this is a treasure trove of information. Like, that's how I'm looking at it. It's a small but brilliant addition that elevates the experience even further. And I'm not going to use the GPS map stuff, but I think it's cool for fans that want to have some direction. So there's a lot of good stuff there. Now let's talk about the story in The Legend of Zelda. And the series has always had a compelling narrative, but these two games take it to new heights. Breath of the Wild redefined Zelda's storytelling approach by giving the players freedom to explore the world at their own pace. The story is not as linear as we've seen in previous entries. Instead, it's about discovering the world around you and piecing together the history of Hyrule. The world feels alive and the story is woven into your exploration. Whether it's discovering the remnants of a ruined castle or unlocking the mysteries of the Sheikah Slate, there's mysteries of the Sheikah Slate. There's always something new to find, and that's what makes Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom both so special. They're games that don't force its story onto you, but instead invites you to uncover it. Now, Tears of the Kingdom, on the other hand, builds on that foundation while adding more story depth without giving too much away. It takes everything that worked in Breath of the Wild and expands on it. adding new mechanics and a richer narrative. The stakes feel higher, the characters more fleshed out, and the world more immersive. It's a perfect sequel that stands on its own while paying tribute to what came before. For me, Zelda has always been about more than just gameplay. It's about the characters, the lore, the music, and the emotional journey. And both of these games do an amazing job of immersing you in the world and making you feel like you're part of it. So, what were my personal highlights from playing these games on the Switch 2? And honestly, it's pretty obvious, I'm sure. It's the performance, the smoothness of the gameplay, and the clarity of the visuals are simply unmatched. The colors just pop now. They're so bright and vibrant. I've been playing Zelda games for over, 35 years. And I've never seen them look or feel this good at any one point in time. One of the standout moments for me really was exploring Korok Forest. I played Breath of the Wild crazy amount of hours. I don't even want to think about it because I'm going to be adding to it soon. But the improvements in graphics and performance really do make the world feel alive in ways that I expected in my mind, but when I saw it firsthand, I'm like, good lord, it looks great. Like when I saw the sunlight filtering through the trees and the fog rolling through the forest, I knew I was experiencing something special. As for concerns, honestly, the only issue I have is that I'm going to need a lot more time to revisit these games. The improvements are so huge that I feel like I'm playing them for the first time again. But that is an excellent problem for any of us to have. To wrap it all up, I've been a Zelda fan for as long as I can remember. And these Switch 2 versions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are nothing short of spectacular. The improvements in performance, graphics, and gameplay make these two games the definitive way to experience The Legend of Zelda on the Nintendo Switch 2 in 2025. For anyone who has already played these games, this upgrade gives you every reason to dive back in. For those who haven't yet experienced these masterpieces, now is the perfect time. Whether you're exploring the vast open world, solving puzzles, or uncovering the mysteries of Hyrule, these games offer an experience like no other. And with the Switch 2 running at 4K 60 FPS, this is the best way to experience these two masterpieces. I'm excited to revisit both games and dive back in to the rich worlds once again. So that's it for my first impressions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom on Switch 2. But don't go anywhere. Check out all my other hands-on impressions from the Switch 2 Experience event, including winning the Mario Kart Tour Knockout Tournament, Metroid Prime 4, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Cyberpunk 2077, and plenty more. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts on these Switch 2 versions of Zelda. Are you excited to dive back in or start your adventure for the first time? Let me know, and as always, remember, you're never too old to play video games.
fun. I came close. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Really cool.
Have fun with the rest of the
Will do. Thank you. All right, let's see what we can do next.